and the Year of the Dragon and Jerry Sargent Star Magic and the Dragon's Eye while you're meditating when you see one. And what do they all have in common?
They are archetypal symbols of the journey of humanity in processing the different personality types that are investigating fear-based beliefs, negative beliefs, and transforming them into a positive understanding and creating an evolutionary path for yourself to reclaim your true power.
Hmm. Wow, that was large.
All right, if you say so.
It was. um, how can we raise the frequency of our food? Like we can do the same thing to water. So when we say grace, should we actually be saying benevolent things about the food?
You
Because
can, but also remember that when you raise your own frequency, what you will be attracted to eat will be the things of higher frequency automatically.
Yeah, I do understand that. And at the end of the grace or prayer, should we or should we not say the word amen? Because there's a reference that it might be praising Amen Ra, who professed to be God, but he's not all that is.
It will give whatever meaning you give to it. It actually simply means so be it.
Oh, okay. That was
So,
nice.
whatever you decide is the definition that works for you, you can say whatever you wish. It's just a permission slip. Remember that prayer, grace, is a state of appreciation for what you have in the present.
Mm.
That's all it is. A state of appreciation and gratitude for what you are and what you have right here and right now. That's all it is. That's a high vibrational frequency that will attract high vibrational frequency things in physical reality as representations of the frequency you have taken yourself to.
Okay.
So it is an attitude of gratitude and thanks for who you are and what you attract as the lessons you need to learn in life.
Okay. Um, did I have an out of body experience when I had read a Sylvia Brown book and followed the directions? And
Yes, you have out of body experiences like everyone all the time, especially when you are asleep physically. You don't necessarily remember all of them, but by focusing yourself on certain information that had to do with it, you may have given yourself the opportunity to remember some of the out of body experience that you have had.
yeah, because coming back, I felt like I was levitating about 3 feet above my bed and slammed into my bed when I woke up.
Yes.
And then recently I woke up really suddenly because I realized I was in a black space. And if that is an out of body experience, and if that happens again, how can I relax myself and not be so scared and wake myself up?
Well, what were you afraid of?
I don't know. I just remember it was just black, and then suddenly I woke up and I knew I was in fear. But then I realized, well,
All right.
there's not.
There is nothing to be afraid of. You may have been facing the idea of what people on your planet typically call the shadow self, coming to terms with the idea of any fear-based beliefs you may still be holding on to, because those things can come up when you start to increase your frequency. When you start to shift to higher dimensions, you have to let go of those things, and letting go of those things, those remnants of fear-based beliefs that may exist in your physical mind, can create the idea of having to face them, having to truly understand why you're holding on to them or why you were. So increasing your frequency may put you face to face with beliefs you have to let go of.
Yes. Okay. Um, so I've had some supernatural things that happen in my life,
Yes,
and here's
I understand what you mean by that, but everything is natural, even what you
oh,
refer to as supernatural.
okay. Well, one little one is I saw, how the tuna cans they can stack up on top of each other. I
Yes.
had three of them in my cupboard, and I was about 8 feet away from my cupboard. I literally saw the tuna can jump off and land next to it. So I was like, what energy did that?
You did.
Oh, cool.
There are moments when humans will slip into a higher frequency state and recognize that they are creating, literally creating, the projection of their physical reality. And so, in that moment of unguardedness, you may have become more of your true self and demonstrated to yourself how you actually can manipulate physical reality because it's your projection anyway.
That's amazing.
So, you will give yourself these little markers from time to time to remind you that physical reality is extremely malleable, plastic, and flexible, and that you are creating it moment to moment. And that if you stop focusing so strongly on the idea of only being in physical reality, only focused on physical reality, you can from time to time see physical reality shift itself in ways that seem quite magical.
So that might be one of my gifts then that I'm not aware of.
It's a gift you all have, but it comes with the awareness that you are creating your physical reality and not being afraid to allow it to be reflective of the true way in which you are actually generating it.
Hmm. Okay. I had a dream that my husband and I were walking into a venue where I was gonna perform because I'm a singer, and we're bringing the gear in, and suddenly the warehouse changes into, the place changes into a warehouse, and it's very dark, but the walls are glass, and I can look over and see the next building over, and the people are screaming and running out.
Yes,
And I'm calm. My husband is kind of sketchy, but then he realizes he can be calm because I'm calm.
yes.
Um, is was that a premonition of an unveiling?
It is the recognition of what we have called the splitting prism of different realities that are separated by analogous glass walls where you can see other realities where people may be choosing things that are not your preferred vibration, but they can't affect you because they can't get through the glass wall, even though you can see them.
Mm,
So it's a
yes.
recognition that you are in your own reality
Yes. Okay.
and that there
Well,
is nothing to fear by observing what other people may be choosing in their realities that is not your vibrational preference. Because you have to match their frequency in order to experience what they're experiencing.
right. Which leads me to back when I was a kid, I used to think, is the color purple to me the same color as the color purple to them? And then what
Not
I see,
always.
the shape of a human, is that what they see?
Not always. It might be similar, but it may not be identical. Because again, each of you have your own reality and your own interpretation of what you are creating as an interface in order to interact with other beings, other consciousnesses. But what you are interacting with is your created interface that makes sense to you, that is relevant as a reflection to you. So it might be very similar, but it may not be identical.
Okay. And as a child, I used to be super excited about going to bed because I would always dream of floating up.
Yes. Out of body experiences.
Oh, okay, yeah, the silver cord, and it was like just felt so wonderful.
Yes, well, this is natural for all of you to do. Not all of you remember doing that, but it's something that you all definitely do when you're asleep because you're going back to your natural state, because you have calmed down the physical consciousness, the physical focus, and you can become more of yourself, which is naturally spirit, non physical. The physical
Okay.
silver cord is simply one way of interpreting the idea that you're still connected to a physical experience. You haven't severed that tie. You're not going back completely into the idea of waking up into spirit. You're still maintaining a connection to the experience of physical reality, which happens within your soul.
Kind of like the movie Avatar.
Kind of, as a simplistic analogy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Last question. I don't know if you can answer it. Has my sister Jenny reincarnated somewhere? And if so, where and what's she doing?
Well, you understand that incarnation is multiple simultaneous carnations, not reincarnation literally in a linear sense.
Right.
Everything exists at the same time.
Yeah. So,
So that soul can be having other experiences, but it's not literally reincarnation in the way that most people on your planet mean it.
mm,
So you will always be able to contact the spirit of that being, even if they are experiencing something that to you would represent another incarnation.
right. Okay. So whether or not they're in physical form or a non-physical form, I can always contact them.
Yes, because every form always exists and every form exists at the same time. So, whatever way in which it is easiest for you to understand how to make that connection, you can use that to make that connection. And that part of the being will always be available to you, no matter what else they may be choosing to do. Because remember that spirits are multidimensional beings.
Do you happen to know what her little signs are? Like some people say pennies are feathers, but does she have a particular sign?
Well, what has occurred in your synchronicity that reminds you of her?
Hmm.
Can you remember any instance of simply going about your day and suddenly something just reminded you of her out of the blue, as you say?
Oh, for sure. Like the things that she's made me and sewing and her laughter and stuff. So,
All right. Then those things can be the signs that she may use, because the things that you remind yourself of her with are the things that she would most likely use to get in touch with you.
okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You are welcome very much. Aveo.
There.
I've been following your content for quite some times. And, just to provide a bit of context, in 2010, I started a design agency specialized in building impact solutions. So helping companies define their purpose and then translate that purpose into sustainable and socially impactful business models.
All right.
It's been quite the learning journey.
Yes.
And to me, to adopt new practices, you need to create attractive solutions. So I really dedicated myself at building co-creative models to help meet our clients where they were, and then help co-create maybe a better future for everyone.
All right. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. So it's been a learning journey, but now that 14 years into it, I'm realizing that I've been going a lot against the grain. Trying
All
to.
right. Well, how can you go more with the flow?
So
How can you go more with the flow?
exactly.
Use your creativity and imagination. What would you rather be doing, or how would you rather be doing it? If it is representative of your passion, there is always a way to be doing your passion in the most passionate way. So, how could you be doing it differently than you're doing it now?
I've started to play around with the idea of, instead of trying to change others, to really build the visions myself.
Yes, well, you can't really change others. You can offer them the opportunity to change, but they have to be the ones to make that decision. So if you've been going about it with the idea that you're supposed to be changing them, then dropping that idea would help you flow more, because it's all well and good to share with others what you think might be willing to help them, but what they do with the information is none of your business, because you don't know their path. So the idea is to stop focusing on needing to change them and just simply offer them things that you're excited to offer, because that's who you are, and let them decide whether or not to take those things.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. That's why I said it. It removes the weight off your shoulders and the burden that many people on your planet create for themselves of needing others to change. You can't need others to change. You can only offer them the opportunity to change, but you must leave it up to them to decide whether or not to match that frequency. whether or not to incorporate that change in their own lives. It's not your responsibility to make sure that they do. That's not your job. Your job is to be yourself, to give off the gifts that you have to give, to offer them to others as potential things that may assist them, but you absolutely have to leave it up to them to decide to incorporate them. That's none of your business.
Thank you for sharing that. Segueing into responsibility, I've been carrying the weight of responsibility for quite some times. It has guided some of my decisions. Even if I embarked on that impact journey over the years, was because I wanted my kids to have a planet to enjoy in the future.
Yes, but you remember, you never change the planet you're on. You change your frequency and you shift to another version of Earth that is already more representative of the frequency change you made within yourself. So teaching them how to change their frequency, how to navigate through all those different versions of parallel reality Earths by following the formula is how they will experience the idea of a version of Earth that is more representative of the joy that they create within themselves and the actions that they take that are representative of that joy. But you can't be responsible for others. You can only be responsible to them, to be yourself and be the living example of how they could also choose to be like you. To teach them the consequences of choices in a safe and creative way, so they understand how everything is connected, how everything is synchronicity, and how to move through the different parallel versions of Earth by following the formula, by being self-empowered, by knowing that they can attract anything they need in life to fulfill themselves without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to do so, and to not be responsible for others, but to be responsible to them by also being living examples of what other people can also, by seeing their example, choose to incorporate within their own lives as well, but to not need them to do so. Remember, you act on your passion for its own sake, not because of what you think it's going to cause or get you. Otherwise, you're making your passion conditional on what other people do.
Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense. There's always a bit of a discrepancy between my intentions to act on my highest excitement and the short-term conditions I feel I need to go through.
Yes, but you see, that's contradictory, as you said, because if you have conditions that are outside conditions, then you're not acting on your passion, because true vibration of passion is not reliant on exterior conditions. That's why I'm saying you act on your passion for its own sake, because that's who you are, because you have no other choice. Not because of what it's going to get you, not because of how other people are going to react. That's an outside condition. And that dampens the idea of your excitement, of your passion, because now it's not pure.
Maybe one last thing, if I may,
Yes.
that it's really connected with that same topic where I feel responsible to I jumped into that journey, which was really fulfilling, obviously, but to translate these values to my children. I have 2 kids, and if you'd look at my son, you'd see I'm the greatest parent. If you look at my daughter, you might think otherwise. She comes with a bit of anxiety baggage, and I'm really trying really hard to connect.
About what? Anxiety about what?
Our focus is really on the perception of others.
What is her age?
14.
All right. Have you had any talks with her about the idea of why she thinks it's important to gauge herself based on what other people think?
I've tried to break that shell, but she's really pushing me back.
Why? What does she get out of it? Have you asked her that?
I've tried many times, but what I get from that, it's again my perception is that she's she's a bit insecure on what other people would think, so she's pushing her parents, especially her dad, away because it makes her look a bit more immature with her group of friends. That's one of the idea that has crossed my mind. But
All
honestly,
right.
I don't know.
Have you told her that you love her unconditionally no matter what she does?
On a daily basis.
All right. Then keep doing so and let her go through her process.
Okay.
Just be there for her when she needs you to be. You don't have to push, you don't have to try and change her. Just understand that she has chosen a path, chosen a journey. She can learn eventually, but you have to let her go through her journey. You have to let her go through her path.
Yeah,
Just be there
that's
for
been the
her.
hardest thing.
Well, it should be the easiest thing if you truly trust that she is a strong soul. Don't see her as weak. See her as strong. See her as exploring a certain idea. Whether it's positive or negative to you doesn't matter. She's exploring. Just be there for her. Just tell her that. I'm here for you. Whatever it is you decide to do, however it is you decide to be, I'm here for you. And I know you have a strong soul, and I trust that you will go through whatever you're going through in a way that will serve you best. But I'm here for you if you need me. If not, then I'm still here for you, unconditionally. If you can say that, then perhaps she will lighten up.
I'll try that.
All right. Does that serve you at this time?
It does. Thank you so much for this great sharing.
It is our passion and our pleasure.